get to work. Go on.
And before I get much further, I had pinned up here easily enough, and then I covered that over with some Ava's epoxy. And I've been finding over the last day or two that this bottom piece was just wiggling around too much. I filled in this side with Ava's, filled in the other side with Ava's, and I was still able to snap it loose, so I super glued those back into place, and then finally I just figured, screw it, I'll try and drill through that heavy duty aluminum or steel pipe that is part of this guy here, and throwing the Dremel on 30,000 RPM, I got through it pretty quickly, but I did make a mess, as you can see. So I just hammered this piece of brass tubing in there to help pin it down, and poured a ton of, well, not quite a ton of super glue, but enough to fill it in. And now it'll just be a matter of covering it over, and this piece is going to be solid to be able to handle, as long as it's pulled up by this half of it here, because this bottom bit can pull through. This is all going to be solid, freaking solid, so I'm happy about that. It could still potentially break at this point, because that's just an aluminum tube in there, but brass, steel, or plastic with steel inside of it, then some more brass and aluminum out here makes this a fairly solid piece. The other note you'll see here is that I drilled up all of these sides here. What I'm going to do is fill those with Ava's epoxy. So next, when I create the additional insert that this needs to fit into the hairdryer portion, it's all set to go. In fact, I should probably do that sooner than later, actually. So let's get to it. Hey everybody, Gears here with more of the Vibroaxe, and I think I've already covered some of what I'm doing here. So this should be a continuation of a video I've already made, I believe. I drilled the holes in here to allow for some grip to go with the Ava's epoxy that I'll be using, this right here. I'm going to fill all of that full with the Ava's so that it gets nice and in there and helps to add as a lock or a key to keeping the Ava's edition attached to it. Essentially, there's going to be a little block on the outside here, and it's going to be custom fit inside of here. There's a bit of a notch at the bottom that goes a little further back, and the idea is that it'll help as a locking mechanism. And yeah, so how do you make something that will fit here and fit in here? Well, what I'll be doing is this. Put a little piece of plastic wrap in here. I'm going to stuff Ava's in here, jam this piece in, and when it dries it'll be attached to the blade and not to here, and I'll be able to snap it back in, if any of that makes sense. How about I just do it instead? Ava's epoxy comes in a number of different colors. I'm trying black right now. I've gone through several of them: natural, white, gray, black, red, and is there another one yet? I don't know, but there's blue, pink, green, anything you like. Now I want to make sure I have enough, and this will probably do it. Ava's is basically like Sculpey, except you don't have to bake it, and it comes in 2 parts instead of 1. So it naturally air dries. You just have to make sure you use an equal amount of each part. And eyeballing the quantity is certainly acceptable. Just mix until it's mixed. The sticky nature of Ava's is definitely working against me right here. Whether I was wearing gloves or not, it would still be sticking to my fingers. Let's try this. And then finally, I pressed just a little too hard there. So the basic premise is definitely going to work. I just need to figure this out a little better and get a new piece of plastic. Ava's is very water friendly, and hey, look at that, it helps me out. There's some excess sitting down there where it shouldn't be. And it looks like it may have burst out of I'll let this sit for a while and see how it dries. At worst, some of the Avas will break off inside. At that point, all I'll really have to do is just make another repair similar to the way this was done until it works. That's all there is to that. So let's check back in a little bit. So it would have been handy if I had caught pulling this out of the hairdryer on video. The plastic wasn't as strong as I had hoped, and this piece was wedged in a little stronger than I expected, and I had to pry this out, and you can see here it didn't attach because basically I had to rip the axe out. This got stuck inside, and then I pried it out by sticking a tool down the front here and then popping that out, which bent this a little. It's still in a semi-moldable sort of shape. I don't want to push it around too much. It's an exact fit to this piece, which is good. I'll probably just wind up putting a screw through this and into the body so that this stays, but I will super glue this on when it's a little more cured. And I'm actually going to do some sculpting of this piece now as well. So it made a really nice form. So I'm happy about that. And this piece is probably definitely going to need a little engineering. I doubt that it looks exactly the way this is because of the way I ripped it out of there. But overall, I'm pretty happy. And this definitely makes a distinct addition to the back of this guy here. Why don't I just go and glue it in right now? Now if this doesn't fit back into the hairdryer, I'll simply shave it down a little. I'll probably do that anyway, it looks like. And then it should fit pretty well. But for now, I think it's more important to let this cure into a solid rock, which should be a couple more hours still. It's definitely in good shape right now, and I should stop messing with it.